2024, hey? Happy New Year. I don't do New Year's resolutions because they're really they're just hard to stick to, hey? And I love chocolate, if I'm honest. I'm not going to be giving that up. This is the Level Up Podcast. I'm your host, Martin Sully, a brand strategist, designer, and founder of Snapper Studio. And I'm on a mission to help you gain clarity and confidence in your brand. I'll arm you with bite-sized tips and introduce you to friends of the show who are taking their brand to the next level. No big New Year's resolutions here, but there are a few goals. And today we are going to be talking about setting goals, why you want to do them, So, to give you some background, I set goals. And this is one thing that my business coach taught me. Set goals with targets, make them semi-unachievable just to stretch yourself, and put dates on it. Make them get yourself a big wall planner, put dates on them, mark them in, highlight them in bright pink, and hit them. Yeah. So, why do we want to do this? And we want to do this for two reasons. One, for accountability, because it's when you're in small business, it's really hard to show accountability. You can easily let things run. It's also good to talk to people about them. That's why the networking group Chatterbox works so beautifully well, because you can talk to people about your crazy ideas and people will feedback and say, look, they are crazy ideas, but here's how you could potentially do them and do them better. And have you thought about this? That's number one. And number two is to, you set them with targets and dates to actually help you achieve them. So, like we said, they're a little bit stretchy, like a good pair of pants. They're a little bit far-fetched. And mine in particular, let's go into them. So, I'm going to, with all best intentions, I'm going to keep this podcast flowing. There's going to be a maximum of a 2-week break, and for reasons kind of already addressed, my wife and I are about to have another baby imminently, probably within the next 3 to 4 weeks. So very excited. Obviously, hopefully, everything goes smoothly, and I can have a backup of a couple of podcasts to kind of spread over the break. Then, and I want to do that because something like this consistency with keeping the podcast flowing has been something I've really struggled with in the past. Then there's also, this is something I really, really want to hit, and I actually think I might have gone under with what I want to achieve. So I basically want to start 5 new brands from scratch, completely blank canvases, and ideally in a sustainable, purpose-driven field. That is something that I actually think could be achievable. But it also, at the same time, that's a huge amount of work, especially for a one-person business currently. And obviously, in that point, if it gets to be that I've done 5 before, say, May, I'll be like, okay, well, I've done that. Let's reevaluate and look at it again. What's next? What point do we get to next? If we're doing them that quickly, have we done them to a point where they look, where they are up to scratch, they're not being rushed, they are fit for purpose, the clients are super happy, where do we go from that point? Do we need to reevaluate and say, look, we need to do it, but do it to a different sort of a different finish? Do we need to add additional services? Do we need to look at bringing on another designer to help with the capacity? Cool, let's evaluate. And the next one, and this one may be where we then top it up with that work. But again, obviously, if we get to a point where we've done it by May, fantastic, reevaluate. But we're also looking to do 5 brand refreshes with websites as well. And obviously, not everybody needs a website. Some of the things when we do a brand refresh, you will audit and say, okay, your logo's a bit off, but your color palette and everything else and your typography is perfect. We just need a new refresher for a few graphic assets, logo, and basically roll out across a few bits and pieces. It might be that we don't need to do a full refresh. Might just be a few documents to just kind of tie everything together. And then, okay, so the last target is going to be one of those ones that it's a slightly crazy idea, but it's something I actually think would be so good and fantastic to engage the community, debating whether we do an offline and online version. But this one is like a small business conference covering a few of the critical aspects of business and building business. So obviously, first up, we're going to have strategy and branding, but we also need to integrate the legal side of it, the HR side of it, the SEO side of it, copywriting, business management, photography, videography, and accounting. Like, off the top of my head, that's probably 10 things that it's like the starting point to putting together a business. And that you might look at that and say, that's a huge amount of stuff that I have to get ready. But look, let's face it, you do not need to do all of that straight away. It might be an absolute necessity for you to do the legals first and look at your HR. Really depends on what sort of field you're in. I'm sure some legal people will absolutely disagree with me and say it's the first stop. But obviously, a lot of the stuff is having an idea and something to go with to begin with. Fantastic. That might be something you speak to a business management consultant or a brand strategist with and say, look, is this option viable? Yes, maybe, maybe not. Maybe you need to rethink this. Photography and videography. You might want to have a quick, 20-minute, 30-minute photo shoot with somebody and just say, look, yeah, this is absolutely, you've got some content to get going with, something to launch your business with. Likewise, you might not have everything you need for your branding or your social media stuff sorted, but you've kind of got the nuts and bolts in place. You may also be like, okay, we can, when's the right time to bring in an accountant to start work on the business? When's the best time to start doing some photography? Should I get some copywriting done, or, my SEO? Should I get that sorted? Who can help me with that stuff? And basically, it's the opportunity for us to come together as a collective, troubleshoot problems, and deliver key information that will help people grow. So, with that in mind, I want you to pick out sort of 2 to 3 goals. Things that you can feel like you're completely achievable, but also stretch you a little bit. Then you can break them down into little itty bitty pieces and you go, yeah, okay, these feel less scary. And then you can break it down into week by week little tasks. You might spend half an hour on it on a Friday afternoon where you're just like, do you know what? I'm not doing any more work this week. Let's get over and see if we can crack in, do a bit of that task. Or you might be like, Monday morning is my time to shine. Let's hit the ground running.